Super Eagles camp set to be opened on Monday in Uyo as we are expecting and counting down to the game involving Nigeria Super Eagles against Sao Tome and Principe. It's the final game of the group stage qualification for the AFCON 2023. We'll talk about the stories from there, and up until this very moment, we have no national team coach because obviously, and of course, the contract of Pesero had expired in the last couple of weeks. And so as things stand right now, 2 weeks before the game, the national team has no coach. We'll talk about saying concerning the stories from there. We'll look at the CAF Women's Champions League qualification series where the Delta Queens team are just one win away from qualifying for the money-spinning CAF Women's Champions League, and they're set to engage in a Jollof derby, a face-off with Ampem Dark Qualities of Ghana in the final of the CAF Women's Champions League qualification series. We'll look at transfers this afternoon. Calvary in Jerusalem, right? But Calvary for Lukaku is in Rome, and that's the movement. He is joining AS Roma and Jose Mourinho on a season-long loan stint from Chelsea. And we'll talk about the stories from there and what Lukaku particularly brings to AC Milan. We'll look at other interesting transfer stories. This afternoon, we hear that the Saudis are ready to make a €160 million offer for Mohamed Salah. And Liverpool have said if they sell Salah, they're going to get Joe Felix. Leads for you this afternoon 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the show. And Principe, Nigeria will play its last 2023 African qualifying group match on Sunday, the 10th of September, at the Nest of Champions, the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo. A dead rubber game per qualification status from the group, with Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau already confirmed as the two qualified teams from the group. Nigeria will look to end the qualifying series on a winning note to top the group. Well, remember that the first leg of this game ended 10-0 in favor of Nigeria and match day 2 of the qualifying series. And right now, of course, we look forward to seeing more interesting performances. Well, UT, the game is not the main conversation. The main story is the fact that as things stand right now, the national team, the Nigerian national team, the men's national team have no coach. And there's been, divergent views, different stories making rounds. One side of the section of the crowd is saying, well, Pesero's contract is going to be renewed before the game. But there's also a different sect talking about the fact that 3 names have popped up as a list of replacements for Pesero, especially for this game against Sao Tome and Principe. And those 3 names are the technical director, Augustin Guavon, his current assistant, Salisu Yusuf, and the coach of Eyimba Football Club, Finidi George. He was going to make an since late. I don't know. Where do you stand in the debate as to who should be the coach of the national team for the game against Sao Tome and Principe?
Well, the game is actually a dead rubber game because it's a game of no consequence at all, judging from the fact that, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have already qualified for the African proper. So it wouldn't really make any sense to start debating on who would take on that particular role for the last game of that particular group stage. But then we've actually outlined names that should be mounting that particular position, and that's the likes of Finidi George, Salisu Yusuf, and Austin Eguavon. These are coaches. These are home-based coaches that have actually done well with their respective assignments. I could vividly recall Austin Eguavon. I think it was the national team coach when Gerald Raw was sacked in 2021. And of course, if you look at statistically, about 7 games he managed, won 4, and of course drew the others. So he didn't really do badly. And then we're talking about the man Finidi George, despite being with Enyimba International, he's also been with the technical staff as well. So those two gaffers actually qualified to be the coach of the national team for the last group game. But I think my concern right now would be about who will be the permanent coach ahead of the AFCON proper, because we're talking about 4 months before the AFCON. That's January, February. So if you look at the time span, it's no longer wide enough. So we should make decision as early as possible to allow this new gaffer to come in, and of course
right. So we're talking new gaffer already, and that means that you're not even fancying a chance of Jose Peseiro still staying as a coach of the national team. Well, so now obviously in the build up to the appointment of Peseiro, we had stories that Peseiro was the cheapest option in coach.
Yeah, definitely.
The most the cheapest particularly. And if we are going for any coach right now, it has to be somebody that would accept to earn lower than Peseiro, or of course maybe at the same level. And as we stand right now, there's also a story about the fact that Peseiro has been asked to take a pay cut to still stay at the national team. So that has been the major conversation and controversy around the Peseiro story. But at this point, if Peseiro was the cheapest option for us, and we're even looking forward to getting somebody cheaper, is there any foreign-based manager at the abroad that would give us quality but come cheaper than Peseiro?
Well, I wouldn't really know. I don't even think there's any other manager that would take a pay cut to stay with us right here. And then there's this question mark regarding if Osiko Peseiro will actually, accept a pay cut to still stay as the Super Eagles manager after that debacle between the NFF and himself prior to, the qualifying stages. And then many will still ask questions. Is it about, a low-grade coach, or is it about quality-wise? And these are question marks that over time have been, emanating from Nigerians as well. Because in as much as you're choosing a coach, it should be on the basis of quality, what he brings to the national team, and how smart he is rather, to try to scout players for the national team as well. And then if we're still talking about bringing in a coach that would settle for our wages, it certainly means that we do not even want to advance in terms of quality.
The funny part, there's something we're not talking about, UT, and that's the fact that at this point, it's 2 weeks to the game, and by now we should have gotten a list of players called up for the team.
Definitely, just right? Like all the national teams have done.
We do not have that, and that's because we don't have a coach. But according to my sources, in Abuja, we hear that the NFF technical department, headed by Guavon, have already invited players. And, of course, we hear that invitation letter and flight tickets have been sent to 23 players. There's no official statement yet, but this is from my sources. We hear that we'll see a few new faces in the national team, including a new striker, right? And that's the conversation. Well, of course, we'd look forward to seeing what happens, but it's quite sad that at this point, we have no coach, and that's why we cannot get the list of players called up for this game that comes up in less than 2 weeks.
My concern should be about the NFF harnessing the situation of a permanent coach. I've talked about the fact that this game is a dead rubber game, so it really do not mean anything at the end of the 90 minutes whether we win or lose. We're already qualified.
We should actually
It's about
win.
finding that yes. we should win, but it's about finding a permanent manager for this national team. 4 months to the AFCON. We don't want any led decision. Bringing in a manager just 1 month to the AFCON, and then we still start blaming that manager not doing good enough. So we should have it early enough to prepare his team ahead of the AFCON proper.
All right, so that's the story from here. We'll look forward to seeing what happens, but we'll get your thoughts on who you would advise the NFF technical department to call up for this game, because obviously at this point, at this stage of the the Nigerian situation. They are the ones that would send invitation out to players. Well, people are saying don't call up Osimhen, don't call up the big names, let them rest and chill. It's a dead rubber game, bringing Gift up and bringing Victor Boniface and the rest of them. I don't know where you stand, but we'll get your thoughts in the course of the show. Well, the camp opens officially on Monday, the 4th of September 2023, and the game comes up on the 10th of September, 6 days later, at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, Akwa State. Well, coming back home, guys, it's a story. The NPFL draws are set to go down today, and as we speak to you, it's quite a thing happening in Abuja, where we would expect the draws to be released in the coming days. 20 clubs set to participate in the 2023-24 NPFL season, 380 matches in total. And from the feelers we get, the season is going to be explosive. And we hope to see more of that. Most especially, we hope that the fans get to watch these games live, as a matter of fact, because that's where we would start talking about marketing and getting the team and the club to be marketable. Champions, rather, Anthem Darko Ladies showed classic quality, defeated Sam Nelly FC 6-1. Yesterday to qualify for the final, where they're going to face Delta Queens of Nigeria. They've been one of Nigeria's bright and shining armors in CAF competitions after Ayimba Remo Stars crashed out to left it, Bender Insurance, Rivers United, and of course Delta Queens. Well, it's another jollof conversation, UT. What are you expecting? Delta Queens against Anthem Darko Ladies, the champions of the Ghanaian Premier League from last season.
It would be an end-to-end battle, looking at how far they've actually progressed in the WAFOB qualifiers ahead of the, CAF Women's Champions League proper. And then we've always talked about Nigerian teams not doing so well on the continent of Africa, aside Yimba, who are two-time champions of the CAF Champions League. And it's quite concerning at this time, because you look at the game between, Delta Queen Ladies and their opponent yesterday. They actually let in 2 goals early in the game and had to come back from behind to salvage that particular victory for themselves. So it will be quite concerning, because you are not going to be lucky every now and then, to come from behind to salvage victory. So it's quite concerning at the moment, because this is the area the coach has to unearth at the moment. So start the game on the front foot against Apom. The many Nigerians will be quite excited to see 3 Nigerian teams participating on the continent of Africa. So if
we should have naturally had 5.
We would have had 5, but unfortunately we have 3 now.
It is potentially.
So it would be quite interesting to see Delta Queens come up victory to represent WAFOB Zone B in the continent of Africa when the CAF Women's Champions League starts properly. So it will be exciting, but then it won't be an easy tie against Apom Dekwa Ladies, because they're also coming up to represent the Ghanaian contingent on the continent of Africa. But I'm expecting that with the way Delta Queens have actually gone so far in this tournament, they should actually come out top against Apom Dekwa Ladies.
Right, so let's talk about a man who came out top in his career. Well, the man is he turns 41 today. His name is Vincent Enyama from Nigeria. Of course, he's in the States, actually. And the man is and remains an all-time great for Nigeria. Since he left that position for Nigeria, the goalkeeping position, we have struggled, we have suffered, we have toiled. And, of course, today is a special day, and we have to give him credit and, of course, give honor to him, honors due. Vincent Enyama. Today is his birthday. The man is one of the greatest Nigeria has ever produced. UT, former Ayimba goalkeeper, former Leo goalkeeper, and of course he is the IFFHS African goalkeeper of all time. And since his retirement for a national team, no one has come close to his replacement.
It's quite
this
sad.
Man is and will ever be a great.
One of the greatest goalkeepers Nigeria have ever had. And then we're still having questions regarding who will replace him over time in the national team. We've tested so many keepers since he said, I'm not doing it again with the national team. And it's quite questionable at the moment. It looks like that
national team in 2015.
Yeah.
And that's
quite a long time.
8 years.
8 years, and we've still not had a number one choice that we can actually, wake up any time and call to come and do the job. So at this point, the man is a serial winner. He's had stints with so many European clubs in his career, and basically we can all underrule the fact that he's a legend of the national team at the moment. So our best wishes with the man.
Definitely a man who scored goals, a man who was one of, at some point, Africa's best goalkeeper in the French League, and of course showed a lot of class and quality. We wish the man the very best, and we hope he has a beautiful birthday celebration today. Happy birthday to Nigeria's great Vincent Nyama. It's even more delightful to see that he is from a Akwa state.
Absolutely.
He flew the flag of this state very far in Europe, and that's a beautiful thing. Happy birthday to once again. Well, let's take calls in here. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Remember when he made the team back in 2002? Well, the man was clearly
hear from you today. I'm a first-time caller.
All right, your name. Welcome.
My name is Pastor Pikid. I'm calling from Akampa, Cross River State.
How is Cross River State today?
It's raining now.
It's normal. Welcome.
Thank you. The other guy, good afternoon.
Welcome, brother. Good to have you.
Please, I want to talk about Nigerian Football Federation. I don't know. It is obvious that every time this thing they pain our belly, because every time it is coach, if not coach, na player. Every time coach department is always a problem, especially when we are about to go to tournament. The problem will arise from coaches. I don't know what is happening. I don't know if there is no way they can put an end to this coach of a team.
All right.
Please, I want to talk about my club, Chelsea. I don't know, just update me on Lukaku transfer and which of the strikers at Chelsea are currently going for now, please.
Thank you very much. Lukaku has gone to Rome to show the fans of AS Roma what he can do. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Maritana.
Welcome. Ricky.
I'm calling from Uyo.
All right.
Maritana, I've never seen this kind of white man. The language of the country shows that they don't need you. Why can't you just go? And this NFL, you don't need somebody, or you don't want somebody again. Instead of you to just relieve the person and look for another person. We have 4 months to the Nation Cup. You are still romancing with this man to agree the pay cut. Even the money is the issue, just relieve this man, look for another person, at least to understand this boy to understand the coach that will take us to the tournament. What if this man...
Different, would you prefer a home-based coach this time or another foreign-based coach?
I don't believe in all this indigenous coach, because based on the last Nation Cup, we're not past the round of 16. So they should look. We have money here. We have money. We should look for another foreign coach that will take us to the at least semi-final or even the final. What if this man agreed the pay cut and he take us to the Nation Cup? Then we came back with the group stage.
All right.
So they should look for another coach now when it's not too late. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ndifreke, for talking to us this afternoon. Hello, welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Bye.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yeah, you too, David. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
This
brother.
is the sports messiah. I am so sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure of it. Yeah, not mistaken. It can be dominate the sport messiah. Mari, honestly, we've been discussing this so far. Nigeria is one of the biggest countries as it can show classic and dominant in football in any activities of sport. We are good to go. But when there is controversy like this here and there, it's always a kind of, we are confused at times. If you had a specific coach to lead your national team for a while, I think that particular country will be a bigger team. You bring a new coach. A coach will start all his best to build a team. Building a team before 2-3 years, we now start the coach or send him away. We bring in another new body to take over the team. It's going to be a mismanagement. And to build the team is not easy. And to scatter it again, they start all afraid. Look at what our guys are doing in the camp level. Now, this is George all over is clamoring, said we are not being participating in the league. There is no league. There was no time to play for them. They would have adapted on time. So me, that is not an excuse.
All right.
This is the biggest country. We build our team, we build our league. We are solid enough to do those things. But when controversy take over the country, it does not mean
Thank you.
What to do then.
Thank you very much.
Political side. Yes. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us, the Sports Messiah. Good afternoon, Tiab Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show.
And your colleague.
Welcome.
What of our High Chief?
High Chief is out. Actually, High Chief picked a minor knock. You know, he's trying to recuperate, but he's going to be fine.
On training, ba?
Exactly.
Any NFF seems to be going on the wrong way. Why inviting the so-called professional in the state rubber game? Why can't they invite all our local lads so that they will be exposed, give them the confidence? On this show, coach, they know what they are doing. The time where this coach is not giving us the needed results, why can't they invite Enrique? Now the NFF, they have the money, they are funding the money. I think Enrique is engaged. Nagelsmann is not engaged. We need a high-profile coach, Mari.
Top Gunner, we're struggling to pay Geno Raw. We're asking Peseiro to take a pay cut. Can we afford Nagelsmann?
Mari, leave those people alone. What of FIFA money? Can they be arrived from
we should pack the FIFA money and pay our coaches. We have to develop football as well in the country, Top Gunner.
Mari, there's money in football, though. They don't. What of their sponsors and all the rest? Mari, secondly, on the issue of this Loroba's mother, I mean the Spanish FA chief.
Yeah.
I learned that his mother has gone on hunger strike unless her son, the Spanish FA left him alone. She locked herself in the church, Mari. It's an important issue. To me, I advise him to resign it for the sake of his mother's sake.
Right.
Her life is at stake. Mari, do you know that English press have been overhyped this issue?
Yeah.
They are the brain behind this thing.
Yeah.
Because Spain won England, so they are not happy.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That's an aspect of the conversation as well. Tiab Ghana, thank you so much. We'll take a few calls in, but let's just talk some more stories, UT. Andre Onana has been named in Cameroon squad for their final African qualifiers as well. Well, the announcement comes 9 months. Remember, after he was suspended by his country's FA midway through the World Cup. And there were accusations of insubordination to the coach of the side, Rigobert Song. But the country has made a U-turn and they've gotten the man in. But UT, his first 3 games as the United manager, United goalkeeper rather, I beg for pardon. It's not been so palatable. Returns to the national team, some level of fresh air for the man.
I think it's actually good for the national team. Talking about the national team aspect as we speak, because the game they're having against Burundi is the last group game.
Yeah.
And it's a game of consequence because both teams, that's the Cameroon national team and Burundi, have the same point.
Yeah.
It's just a goal difference separating both sides. So whoever wins will automatically qualify for the African proper in January. So they also understand why they should have their quality players in that particular game to, harness the situation for them. But I think it's quite also detrimental on Manchester United perspective because if they've actually, coming to terms between him and Rigobert Song, it certainly means he will also be a part of the national team ahead of the, African proper. And the African is starting on the 13th of January. We're also meant to understand that 13th of January, United will be playing against Tottenham Hotspurs. So who stays in between the sticks for Manchester United when he's out for the national team assignment?
That's another question.
Well, we wouldn't know when he will even make his debut. Talk less of playing by that time.
He's going to be fit at least by January 13th.
So these are the problems with African players. Certainly. But I think it's good at the national team level. It's going back to the team.
Well, let the boys play for their nation. Let the boys play for their countries. What we hear from Fulham are talking to Alex Iwobi. The deal includes an £8 million loan fee. Roma will be covering his international wages. Inter Milan had hoped Lukaku would return to the club where he spent last season on loan, but sadly, there was so much controversy around the man, he had to shut down the move and all of that. But for Lukaku, he's been hated by 3 different football clubs, Inter Milan, Juventus and Chelsea. And at some point, he was looking for salvation and redemption. Calvary is in Jerusalem, but for Lukaku, it's in Rome.
It certainly is in Italy, because he had so hard stints with the Inter Milan, and we saw how the man was actually prolific in front of goal where they won the Scudetto title. And then we've always talked about reuniting with a manager that has confidence in you. I could vividly recall his stint with Manchester United. He did very well under Mourinho in the very first season until they brought in Ibrahimovic.
People are asking, what exactly is he taking to Roma? Let's look at the Serie A record. 97 games in the Serie A, he scored 57 goals, had 19 assists, and averaged 0.91 goals per game. That's a very, very crazy number, and it takes that start to Roma. Definitely assures them more goals.
More goals, because they also have striking, options on the bench. We're talking about Paulo Dybala, and he's injured as we speak. So they only have the man, Tammy Abraham, under the disposal.
Andrea Belotti
is the injury prone. So Lukaku moving to the side will also complement Tammy Abraham up front. And usually we've also known, I think last season, Jose Mourinho preferred 2 strikers up front throughout the entire season. So it will also make a lot of sense that Romelu Lukaku is playing under a gaffer that he understands better. It's quite clear and doesn't want to stay in the English Premier League. Over time, we've always seen, I think his stints with West Brom, with Manchester United, even with Chelsea, didn't go really well. So he's actually done well.
Everton went well.
At Everton, it went well. We're talking just 1 club out of 3. So basically, it looks that an ideal place for him is Italy, and that's where he will flourish.
We wish the man the very best, and we hope he shows up for AS Roma, because they'll need him to get the goals in. Now, let's talk Spain before we return to UT exploring its options whether it can sack the Women's World Cup winning coach George Vilda. Vilda remains in post despite most of his coaching staff resigning in protest against the Federation President Luis Rubiales' refusal to quit for kissing squad member Jenny Hermoso after that World Cup win last week Sunday. 81 Spain players, including all 23 World Cup winners, have said they would not play for the team again while Rubiales remained in position. Now, here's a funny thing, because it's a crisis-laden country right now. In terms of football.
Definitely.
They're trying to fix the Rubiales conversation. And
then Vilda.
Rubiales and his FA are looking to sack Vilda, right? And there's been a lot of back and forth. Well, I mean, I understand, the call for justice, but it's getting too much. It's becoming too crazy, too monotonous, as a matter of fact, Chichi.
Well, the build up to the World Cup, we had concerns about the player, the Vilda.
But in the midst of all of that, he won them the World Cup.
Yeah, he won them the World Cup. This is one of the reasons, Mari. I think a few minutes before the show started, there was an earlier report that the reasons why the Spanish FA are considering to sack him is because he was spotted applauding Rubiales during the Spanish Federation Extraordinary General Assembly. And that certainly means probably he's in support of Rubiales. But at some point, I heard him criticize Rubiales for the action that he made after the World Cup. But these are...
When Rubiales repeatedly said he was not going to resign.
Yeah, he said he was not going to resign. But these are problems that are very critical to, the progress of a nation. It looks like the Spanish, Federation are in crisis at the moment.
Yeah.
And I just feel that, found walkable ground to this particular, situation.
We hope they fix the problem in the coming days. But Rubiales' mother has locked herself in the church and says she's not going to eat anything until they set her son free. So it's quite a thing. We hope for sanity in Spain very soon. 09022231011 and 0817-624-856. We're expecting loads of games today in the AFL Cup, including Chelsea against AFC Wimbledon. We'll talk about the Chelsea story and what should count for Chelsea today. But let's head back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Name and location.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Name and location.
Raymond, Jordan from Igor.
Welcome, Raymond.
Yeah, I want to say something concerning this coach issue that we are talking about. it's always a shame when I hear it's always the coach issue here and there. I don't know what we will do to solve this problem. But this coach issue has always been the talking point there and there. I can only pray that God give us the best coach to handle the national team.
All right.
I want to use this opportunity to wish our legend, our keeper, a very happy birthday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Well, if we put football first, we definitely would be making better decisions. Sadly, that's not the case in the country. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Mari.
Name and location. This is. All right, go ahead.
About Lukaku, basically, I don't think pressure, or maybe he might bring a helping hand to Roma. Despite the transfer to Roma, I don't think going to help us because on Saturday I'm Sunday rather. I'll go to Olympico and get my 3 points and come back to San Siro. Please, I also want you to update me on I think there's a transfer link between Milan and Mediterranean. So you can just let me check if there's any.
Mediterranean, right.
Here.
Thank you very much. We'll check that out for you. All right, Joe, well, we'll talk a lot of transfers this afternoon, UT. We hear Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been approached by Manchester United. There have been interesting stories. But UT, it's been a long list. I saw a list of players who've been linked with Manchester United.
The last 24 hours.
Last 24 hours. It's a really long list, and I'm trying to check if I can still find that list of players right now. But Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Southampton, Tottenham, Man United, you think he brings in what United are missing?
This is one of the concerns that the United fans are always having with Manchester United's hierarchy with their business. Links, panic buys just at the depth of time, and this is another major concern. It will repeat itself because at the start of the summer window, where many expected that before the season starts,
Marco Correa, Sergio Reguilón, Marcos Alonso, Leonardo Spinazzola, Rico Henry, Nicolas Tagliafico, Ryan Gravenberch, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Sofiane Amrabat all have been linked to United in the last few days. And this is a recurring story. Every time they get linked to 45 players and sign 3.
They even signed 2 at some point. This is quite concerning because we've always talked about the missing link in that Manchester United squad after the 3 games they've played.
Yeah.
They need a number 6 to consolidate Casemiro in the middle of the park after letting Fred leave to Fenerbahce. They also need a defender as well because Harry Maguire is not dependable at this point.
Now, as in the midst of all of the Maguire conversation, it's confirmed that Maguire is set to stay. He's not going anywhere. So, a chance. Also, let's crash at the conversation of United needing a defender. Maybe they'll need a left back because of the absence of Luke Shaw. Because Tyrone Malacia needs some level of competition. I can understand that, but let's forget about a centre back for United.
An ideal signing for Manchester United at this time is the number 6. A defensive midfielder to complement Casemiro. And the initial links was about Sofiane Amrabat, and now we're hearing Ryan Gravenberch, and of course the Tottenham Hotspur midfielder. These are panic, links, and at the end of the day, we're talking about Friday being the end of transfer window. They may just likely go and get a player that will not even suit their system. So at this point, it's quite concerning because when it doesn't start paying dividends on the pitch of play, there will be question marks regarding Erik ten Hag and the squad at this point.
All right, so UT takes us to Facebook very soon. We'll take a few calls in, but let's tell you about some more transfer stories. Everton have signed Beto from Indonesia for 30 million euros. We here Burnley are working on the deal to re-sign Ian Martin from Chelsea on a season-long loan deal. FIFA would push for Luis Rubiales to be banned from football for guess how many years? 15 years. Tottenham have rejected a £9 million euro offer from runs for Davinson Sanchez. And of course, Fulham are in talks to sign Alex Iwobi. That would make sense. Fulham have also agreed to sign Lucas Ocampos from Sevilla. The man is looking to join up in the Premier League. West Ham have officially dragged themselves out of the race and Harry Maguire. They say he's too expensive. Joe Felix have said if Barca cannot sign him, then he's going to move to Saudi Arabia. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, man.
Name and location.
It's Thank you so much, Zach.
Go ahead, brother man.
Please, I need a report about Ndidi to Nottingham Forest. I want to know how true they do it.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest. Well, there's no concreteness to that story. That's why we haven't reported it yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Once it gets concrete, it will definitely tell you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Mary. Good afternoon.
Yes. Name and location.
My brother, good afternoon. It's Brian from Port.
Welcome, Brian.
Yeah. Mary, I want to ask, can a female coach the national team?
Yes, now.
Anywhere?
It's my brother, it's possible.
Male team.
Yes, it's possible. There is no restriction to that, my brother.
Since Nigeria is confused of coaches, let them use national female coach to coach their team. They know what to do. They should stop wasting our money with other coaches. Let them use the coaches here that we have here. We have people here that can coach our team. They are there wasting money for national team coaches. What is happening with them, coach Kan Wonko, all the rest, Mikel Obi? They should start training them now.
You're right.
Stop wasting our money that they are using people there. Secondly, Chelsea should not sign any player again, please. Let them stop signing player and be having a position. They are just playing for position. They are annoying me. They should stop wasting time signing player because they are not playing anything.
Thank you.
All I know they are playing is they are winning possession, not playing football.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much, Brian from Pawtucket, talking to us. Well, for the fan that asked about Mehdi Taremi, well, you hear he's accepted to join. All right, do want to keep the calls coming in. More transfers. West Ham have held talks with Jesse Lingard. He's a free agent.
For the third time.
Yeah, for the third time. They want to get him on a short-term deal. They know this man is just going to come and do Starboy for them. But let's talk about something, UT, before you take, comments from Facebook. Eden Hazard is set to announce his retirement from football at the age of 32, sadly. But that's not even the story. The story is that he's had concrete approaches from football clubs, but he's deliberately, intentionally rejected them.
I think it's all about how he feels. If he can actually go further, in football, I think he doesn't believe he can actually go further anymore. We understand he hasn't really had the best of times since moving to Real Madrid.
How has life turned on its head on this man? Because he was looked at as one of the best players.
One of the best.
In his prime.
One of the best playmakers.
When he moved to Real Madrid, we're saying, well, this man might just scoop a Ballon d'Or before he retires. But it's not the case. Went there and spent time in the hospital than on the pitch of play.
Yeah, it's quite concerning and very sad at the moment because lots of, expectations from the fans that he will actually go to the Estadio Santiago Bernabeu and flourish. It didn't come to pass. And at this point, he's also considering.
We see these things happen over time. Players move to clubs, they barely perform, and then change and go to somewhere else and show class. I mean, a typical example would be this man at Dortmund right now. What's his name? Sebastian Haller. Came to West Ham United, was seen as a flop.
Sebastian Haller was pretty young, even when he went to West Ham United and struggled. We're talking about declining age and performance as well. And that hasn't been the case.
Have you seen Isco recently?
Who?
Isco. Isco left Madrid when he was considered a flop. He's at Real Betis right now. He's got into man of the match awards. He's over 30 as well.
Mario, we talked about how one feels that he can actually go further. And I think Eden Hazard feels he cannot go any further. We're talking injury concerns, and it looks like that injury concerns are still persisting. So he wants to rest. Gareth Bale was suffering with injury concerns in the last 2 seasons with Real Madrid, left to another club side, and didn't do well. And at some point, he had to accept the fact that he needs to retire. So at the moment, I think we shouldn't force the man to do what he doesn't want to do.
All right, so I'll take a few calls in, but UT, take us to Facebook, the live feed right now.
Okay, the Planet 101 FM official, page. From the live feed, we have Liberty Edem Ekpenyong. He says, good afternoon, Planet FM. Chelsea should sign another striker. For me, transfer window is about to close up. Of Chelsea, Bakayoko Patowski says, good afternoon, Planet Sports crew. I'm wishing my Chelsea team the best of luck tomorrow, and I want my coach to sign a good creative supporting strike to support Jackson of Chelsea. And God bless you all for the good work.
Thank
God bless
you so much.
Too. Well, Austin Obuka says it's really a good news for calling up Onana back into the national team, All Blues, FRSC. Well, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's my man. That's why he's putting that, just to know he's my man. Just go ahead.
Kennedy says it's a good news. I wouldn't know what that means. Kufred says, good afternoon, brothers. I hope things for the Nigerian football comes good because at the moment it's very sad that Nigerian football is going down badly. I wish my team Chelsea good luck in their coming matches. Sakofre from Itam Police Station. Thank you very much. Joseph Suberu says Eguavon should take charge of the Eagles. Finidi George should focus on Enyimba. Salisu Yusuf should have been sacked since. Well, Joseph Suberu for the last time as well says, I think NFF has gone bankrupt. I don't know the kind of poor Pinnick left behind. I hope Peseru is able to accept what they can offer. That's all for them, Mary.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the show, football fan.
Yeah, sorry.
Welcome, name and location.
Thank you. This is Valentine. I'm calling from Udio.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to talk about the Super Eagles coach and Job.
Hello.
I want to play with them. Yes, I want to play with the NSA. So please consider a foreign sound coach so that it can attract more foreign players to Nigeria. If you bring in a local coach now, all these foreign players will leave. And Chelsea, I want to play with Chelsea, not to find a striker for now. Let them give these guys, these Jackson, one year or two, so they can improve on what is. If you bring in competition now, the guy will not play ball again because so many will not get time again to prove himself. So please, thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Your thoughts are really appreciated. Good afternoon, Mr. Easy.
Thank you very much. I want to comment this on the Super Eagles. It will not be a usual thing each time Nigeria or the NSA should also complain about the coach. It is high time that the Nigeria Football Association should know what is good on the Super Eagles. If it happens to take somebody like Joaquin Cliff or Pep Guardiola to pilot the affairs of the Super Eagles, let them do so and tell them whoever will be the manager up to 4-5 years contract so that they know what to do. And I want to know the latest, the saga between Liverpool and Mohamed Salah and Saudi Arabia.
I'll tell you now.
If Salah decides to quit Liverpool, the huge money that I see is not the money that Liverpool can let that money pass them by. It is high. They catch out this guy and use the money, invest one or two players. I think Liverpool is good to go because Salah have done all it takes for Liverpool. So there is no need for them to drag.
Thank you, Mr. Easy. Thank you so much for talking to us. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Joe.
Yes, thanks much.
Good afternoon, Joe.
I'm always uneasy and a sad person when the issue of Salisu Yusuf surfaces in the quest to coach the
national team.
I think he has done so many damages on the team, and I wouldn't want to see him coach the Super Eagles again because if that is done, he seems to be the only person in the issue of football as far as coaching the Super Eagles is concerned. For Chelsea, if you look at the last match, you understand that Johnson overworked himself. And now the transfer window is almost at the closing end. And if Chelsea does not sign a striker to support it may spell doom for them. Thank you so much for having me, my Zena.
Thank you very much, Joe. Well, UT raised the concerns of Andre Onana leaving for the Cameroon national team and the AFCON if they qualify. Well, United are considering to sign a goalkeeper. His name is Alte Bayender from Fenerbahce. And we hear United are set to sign the man for €7 million. So UT, your concerns are valid and they're fixed already. Guardiola Jr.
How would I do?
Fine. Welcome.
First attack, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
his first attack.
Yes, now.
Now I'm talking Man U. Happening to Man U. If Man U not run any club in England, how are they taking it? You can imagine Manchester United, our head of club, never appreciate their younger brother. It doesn't make sense.
All right.
And now, these people just can go and buy players. At the end of the day, they keep complaining. And this year,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Guardiola Jr. Thank you so much. Oh, UT, let's travel to Spain and talk about stories from there. Vinicius Jr. is set to miss 8 Real Madrid games, including their derby clash with Atletico Madrid, according to sources, after suffering a thigh injury and Friday's La Liga win at Celta Vigo. And of course, the sources say Vinicius is 23 years of age, is likely to be out of action for 6 weeks with what is the first muscular injury of his senior career. That would see him miss La Liga games against Getafe, Real Sociedad, Atletico Madrid, Las Palmas, Girona, and Osasuna, as well as Madrid's first 2 Champions League group stage matches. And that's a concern. He will definitely miss Brazil's World Cup qualifiers against Bolivia and Peru. Now, here's the conversation on a larger scale. Madrid lost how many attackers last season? 3 attackers.
Definitely.
Benzema, Eden Hazard, and of course Marco Asensio. They brought in just Jose Lu, who, well, quite
not the regular starter,
not reliable. They brought in a young star from AC Milan, a former boy of them, Brahim Diaz as well. But you want to talk about starters, you want to talk about crucial, reliable players in the attack for Madrid. You mentioned 2 at least, Vinicius Jr. and at least Rodrigo at this point. Now, one of them is out. How much of a problem will this be for Madrid if they don't get their replacement team? We'll talk about this in line with the Mbappe conversation as well.
Well, it's quite concerning at the moment, because even when we're still talking about not, ideally replacing the departed Karim Benzema,
who scored loads of goals
for them. We've actually seen in the first 3 games. I think they are the only team that have maintained 100% start to the season.
But that's due to Jude Bellingham.
Yes, and it has always been scrappy wins, 1-0 victory, a goal line margin victory for them, and it hasn't really gone down well, because there are teams you will meet that you won't be able to contend their free goal scoring chances, and you have to outscore the other team. So when the Ancelotti is still relying on the likes of Rodrigo and even Vinicius Jr. to show that goal scoring chances, it looks like the man is out at the moment, and there are questions surrounding who will replace him at the moment.
The team has at least reliably 2 attackers, Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. How was Ancelotti thinking he would go the whole season with just Vinicius and Rodrigo?
I wouldn't know. I think they're still having that belief that Mbappe will jump, but it looks like ideally he won't join this season. Ancelotti
himself has said that Madrid are not signing anybody else.
And that's a problem for them, because it would certainly set in fatigue injuries that is absolutely not ruled out in sports. So certainly, if you have Rodrigo out, then it certainly means that Real Madrid will be, in search for players that will fill in the boots for these guys.
Are there concerns as to how good they would be this season with the absence of Vinicius Jr.?
I think they won't even be good, because even the absence of the departed players who they have not ideally replaced is still problematic for them. I think we've seen Jude Bellingham scoring goals for them, a midfielder. So if you don't have an attacker that you can rely on in terms of goal scoring and chances created, it will be quite problematic going forward. Competing with the best likes of Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. Just yesterday we saw Atletico score 7 goals past their opponent. So it certainly means that Real Madrid are far way behind in terms of who scores goals for them going forward.
Let's look at their rivals, UT Barcelona. They've got a young star that they're breeding. They breed a young star every single time. Recently, the youngster showed class, Lamine Yamal, and he's already getting the plaudits, the accolades. Now, the last young star for Barca never shown consistently, sadly due to injuries. His name is Ansu Fati, and that's the conversation. But Lamine Yamal, are there glimpses of brilliance you see in this man?
Absolutely. We've known Barcelona for, promoting young talents from the academy to the senior team. We're talking Pedro, Gavi, list goes on, and even Sergio Busquets, who has been, an ideal player for them over the years before leaving just last season. So I think Lamine Yamal would actually, flourish with this particular side. We saw that glimpse. I think he created chances in the last game, and so many are saying that he will be a regular starter because it looks like Xavi has trust in younger players going forward.
Yeah.
So if he's a regular starter, then definitely he will also complement the work of the likes of Pedri and Gavi in the middle of the park going forward.
Well, the UK police are investigating an altercation in Newcastle City Centre involving club captain Jamal Lascelles. He's 29, had been on a night out with his younger brother and a friend on Saturday into the early hours of Sunday morning when a fight broke out. Well, mobile phone footage circulating online appears to show Lascelles involved in the altercation with a number of individuals. Newcastle are not commenting, but they are aware of the incident. Well, it's a thing. Football players, drama. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Mara. Good afternoon. Sport Messiah. Good afternoon.
It's Marizona and UT here.
Okay, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Name and location.
Please, my name is Gospel Elijah from in the local government.
Welcome, God's power.
Please, I wanted to ask when that Nigeria will have match.
September 10, 2023.
Okay.
Save the
Please,
date.
my club is Chelsea. I wish them good luck. That ball that we want to play tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll talk Chelsea extensively tomorrow. We'll do the review. We'll listen to Pochettino talk, and hopefully we'll see some debutants start that game. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Godwin from Ibiako Run.
Good afternoon, Mary. Princess, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, UT.
Welcome.
It's from Ibiako Run. Mary, please, I want to quickly say that I'm very, very, annoyed with the performance of my team, Chelsea. I tell you, if at all their performance in the preseason was okay compared to when the real thing is still at hand that they are doing. They are not making me proud. The fact that they were able to defeat the Luton City in their last match, that was not a win. It was just like playing secondary school or primary school people. I tell you, they are not making me proud. I think I'm looking at the situation of, the coach doing a thorough work in the team.
Thank you very much, Godwin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, UT, the 2023 PFA Award to go down tonight at the Lowry Theatre, in England. And, of course, the nominees again for the Players Player of the Year nominees: Erling Haaland, City; Kevin De Bruyne, City; John Stones, City; Martin Odegaard, Arsenal; Bukayo Saka, Arsenal; Harry Kane, Tottenham. But here's the story that would interest you. One of the performers tonight will be OBO. Davido is going to be there to perform.
Interesting.
Some
You keep flying the flag.
I haven't been able to do that thing in a while. Well,
You have to learn.
yeah, I have to learn. Well, that's it for the show, UT.
Mary, I think I have one advice for the Chelsea fans. Don't expect quick success because this is actually a rebuilding season. I talked about this before the start of the season. You can't expect Chelsea to challenge for the Premier League rather at this point, looking at the fact that Mauricio Pochettino is coaching new players under his tutelage.
Thank you so much, Philosopher UT, for talking to the Chelsea fans. Well, that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Loads of birthdays today. Happy birthday to Reverend Dr. Abel Damina. Happy birthday to Kosovanus, my man. Happy birthday to Vincent Nyema as well. And you have my very best wishes. My name is Marizona, and I had UT David for company. And together we're saying ciao, ciao, adios. Have a lovely Tuesday evening. Be outside.